I would like to introduce Mr. Alan Croft, who is the Business Development Manager of International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network, known as ISWAN. He's going to discuss about championing diversity and inclusion. Welcome.
Hi everybody, it's a privilege to be here today. Thank you so much for all attending and being here for such an important subject. Just to repeat, my name is Alan Croft and I work for ISWAN, International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network. ISWAN is a non-profit welfare organisation based in UK, India and Philippines, with a very simple mission to improve the lives of seafarers and their families. We do this broadly in two ways, through our direct services to seafarers, such as helplines, emergency funds, and advice on health and well-being, but also by working with the wider industry through research, training, and keeping members abreast of themes and trends in seafarer welfare. ISWAN is a membership organisation. Our members consist of ship owners and managers, P&I clubs, training institutions, welfare organisations, and ancillary service providers. It's a network of those who take seafarer welfare seriously. The service for which we are perhaps best known for is Seafarer Help, a 24/7 general purpose helpline dealing with everything from simple inquiries about welfare facilities to someone feeling suicidal. But we also provide commissioned helplines for ship owners and managers so that their crews have someone to turn to when they need support. We currently take around 450 new calls per month. The data we gather through our helplines helps us to understand what is going on out there for seafarers. They tell us about the things they certainly would not say to their employer, unlikely to say to their crewmates, and maybe not even tell their families. This data tells us that life at sea is tough, but for seafarers, but really tough for anyone who isn't a stereotypical seafarer. Abuse, bullying, harassment, and poor mental health are regularly reported to our team, and disproportionately so for women. So ISWAN is doing its best to champion diversity and inclusion because it's important for seafarer welfare. So what do we mean by diversity and inclusion? Here's some simple definitions, which on the face of it shouldn't be too controversial and would make sense in any environment where you want people to work well together. We need to understand that the two are closely linked. There's no point opening the door and inviting people in if you are not going to make them welcome when they get inside. Many people's response to this would simply be that it's the right thing to do, but that's not a convincing argument in a tough, commercially minded sector like maritime. So let's consider what the potential advantages of greater diversity and inclusion might bring. These are more breadth and depth of ideas and experience, new perspectives on old problems, more talent to choose from, and improved retention. Surely these reasons alone make it worth taking seriously. And it's interesting to note that Anglo-Eastern, Ardmore Shipping, and Dorian LPG have recently signed on as founding members of diversity study groups newly launched Seafarer Diversity, Equity, Inclusion and Belonging Data Gathering and Benchmarking Initiative. So let me try to illustrate this. You go to your local fish shop to buy the fish that you have bought every week for years, but this week the guy says, sorry, we have run out of that particular fish due to a national shortage, overfishing, climate change, etc. He offers you a different type of fish that you don't recognize, but he says it's equally as good. What do? Walk away and try to find it elsewhere, knowing that everyone else is also looking for it? Or do you ask questions about how to cook it, what to eat it with, then buy it only to find it's just as good? It's human nature to stick with what we recognize and the vast majority of recruiters in maritime are looking for people they recognize as seafarers. But what if that supply dries up? Early evidence indicates that the experiences of the pandemic have had a significant and lasting impact on seafarers' motivation to remain in the industry. ISWAN is collaborating with the WMU on a research project to get greater insight into the numbers of seafarers who are considering leaving the sector and to better understand what steps could be taken to prevent attrition. In this research, seafarers were asked about their original motivations for becoming a seafarer, their level of commitment to remaining in the industry, and the impact of COVID on the intention to remain in the industry. Seafarers said the main factors in their decision to leave include attention to seafarers' health and well-being, family separation, lack of shore leave, impact of new technologies, automation, decarbonisation, leadership culture on board, opportunities to promotion and training, and workload. This perhaps goes some way to explain the figures in an ICS-BIMCO study that found that a forecast shortage of 89,510 STCW certified officers by 2026. If we look at traditional reasons for people to go to sea, they include the money, adventure, glamour even, the opportunity to explore the world, status, and for some, it was simply a way to escape whatever was behind them. I may just need to reduce my font size on here because it's, I need to, I'm gonna need to slide down. Okay, so what does seafaring offer today? Seafaring is no longer as lucrative as what it was relative to what other professions can offer. How much adventure is there when shore leave is limited? What status or glamour is there in an industry that is invisible to the majority of people? Who is interested in a career for life these days? How attractive is seafaring to Gen Z, Generation Alpha, and whatever they call whoever comes next? If maritime wants to be able to compete with other industries to find its future workforce, it will need to think carefully about how to attract new people. The young people coming into the job market today are very different from previous generations. Let's consider for a moment what young people are like. They spend a lot of their lives online. They have hundreds of friends that they have never met in person. They don't use traditional media channels, preferring to listen to influencers because they are people they can relate to. They are not motivated by money alone. They are interested in the values of an employer. They want a job that fulfills them, respects their boundaries, gives them space and opportunities for growth, and ensures that they have a good work-life balance. They are not looking for a job for life and are most likely to change employers regularly. They expect to be treated with respect and will challenge those who don't respect them. They are less afraid of talking about their mental health and are less likely to have fixed views about gender, sexuality, religion, or nationality, and may struggle with traditional prejudices. Of course, each person is unique, and some of this generalization, but there are many studies available that support these points. There's nothing wrong with young people. They are just growing up in a different world and act, feel, and think differently. We have to acknowledge that baby boomers, millennials, up to Generation Alpha have varying needs that have to be met if you want to recruit and retain people. And this is why diversity and inclusion are so important. So how do we create an inclusive culture? Seafaring is an inherently diverse community, but that doesn't mean that it is inclusive. Training is often presented as a solution, but this is limited in bringing about lasting cultural and behavioral change. Instead, we need to expand our understanding of safety in maritime to include psychological safety, i.e. cultures in which people can truly be themselves at work without fear of punishment or humiliation for asking questions, raising concerns, or making mistakes. This is a long-term process that requires honesty and sustained commitment. Need for structural change to make seafaring a safe, attractive option for underrepresented groups. There are still many obstacles for women to have a successful and rewarding career at sea. We need to address cultures and behaviors that often make life on board additionally challenging for women, as well as vessel design so that there are facilities to meet their needs. It is thought that about 25% of seafarers could be neurodivergent. Much more can be done to create environments that meet their needs and effectively cultivate their strengths, including making reasonable adjustments, addressing barriers to career progression, and making interview processes more equitable and inclusive. We need new approaches to family life, exploring new ways to achieve a viable family-work balance. We need to make the most of the scope of technological advances to make maritime more inclusive and diverse, and to question long-standing assumptions of who can be a seafarer. The future of this industry relies on seafarers who are skilled, motivated, and resilient. The seafarers of the future will look different. Their expectations will be different. And we need new approaches to diversity and inclusion if we want to attract and retain them. Thank you very much.